A video game's development, it doesn't just stop at launch. For a lot of games, that's really just the starting line. And today, we are tracking the absolutely intense post-launch race for NASCAR 25. We're going to dive into all the crucial updates that have been shaping what this game is right from day one. So, if you fired up the game today, what would you find? Well, we're actually going to start this at the finish line, or, the most recent lap. And then we're going to rewind the tape to see the wild development journey that got us here. All right, first up, the most recent pit stop. Let's take a look at the latest tweaks the dev crew made. These went live on November 18th and got the car right back on the track with some fresh new improvements. So you can see a clear theme here, right? It's all about making the player's life easier. Better performance? That just opens the door for more people to play smoothly. Mapping controls right from the start? That means less time digging through menus and more time on the asphalt. And hey, broader wheel support means your gear is way more likely to just work out of the box. And the big one, the one so many people wanted, password-protected lobbies. Finally, you can race privately with your friends. Okay, so that's where we stand today. But this latest patch, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. To really get what it means, we gotta go back. We need to see the foundation these improvements were actually built on. Let's jump in our time machine and head back to late October. This was a super critical time for the game. The team wasn't just squashing little bugs here and there. They were adding some really significant new features that made the whole racing experience much, much deeper. And just look at the pace they were on. On the 21st, boom, we get deeper pit strategy. Just 3 days later, a massive game-breaking save file bug gets fixed. Then, a huge feature drop for all the serious sim racers, followed up by more stability fixes. They were pushing out these meaningful updates literally every few days. That is just relentless. This right here, this was a massive moment for the hardcore sim racing community. I mean, before October 27th, if you had a fancy H-pattern shifter, it was basically a paperweight in this game. And then overnight, that completely changed. Adding this support, it was a really clear signal from the developers saying, hey, we hear you, we see you. And it wasn't just about game mechanics either. Check out this little note from the October 21st patch. This shows a real commitment to realism. By pulling data from racing insights, they made sure the AI drivers actually drove like their real-world counterparts. It's a small detail, but it keeps the whole thing feeling fresh and authentic. Okay, now let's rewind all the way back to launch day. The first few weeks for any new game, it's a real trial by fire. And for the NASCAR 25 team, man, they were definitely in the hot seat, trying to respond to a massive wave of player feedback. And get this, more than 7 patches in the first 9 days. Let that sink in. That is an absolutely blistering pace. It just shows a real all-hands-on-deck response, They were tackling the biggest issues the community found right out of the gate, and they were doing it fast. And this wasn't just random, chaotic firefighting either. There was a clear method to the madness. You can see their priorities laid out. First things first, stabilize the game, stop the crashes. Second, refine the core feeling, like the force feedback. Third, correct those really annoying game-breaking bugs. And then, only after all that, start enhancing the experience with things like better AI. So we've mentioned force feedback, or FFB, a few times, and it was a huge focus in those early patches. If you're not familiar, FFB is a tech in your racing wheel that simulates the road. It makes the wheel fight you in a turn or vibrate over bumps. Getting that feeling just right is absolutely essential for immersion, and the developers put a ton of work into just giving players more options to fine-tune it. Okay, we've gone from the very latest patch all the way back to day one, so let's zoom out for a second. What does this crazy pace of improvement actually mean for you, the player? Well, what are the big takeaways here? First, there's a strong developer commitment. They're clearly listening and they're responding. Second, the game is just getting more and more stable as those foundational problems get fixed. Third, it's actually becoming a deeper simulation with features for the really serious racers. And the biggest point of all, this game is evolving. The experience you have today is a direct result of all this nonstop post-launch work. But this race, it's not over, not by long shot. The development team is still on the track, and they're heading for their next pit stop. So that really leaves us with one final question to think about. After seeing this whole journey of improvement, what's the one feature or the one fix you're hoping crosses the finish line in the next patch?